All praises to Hawah. Shalom. We back in there. Welcome to Lessons from the Ancestors. Ahab. Want to send special Ahab to everybody that came through and showed love during the powwow session we had. All right. Special shout out to Natural by Law. Uh, helping the channel grow, helping us build. Another special shout out to Nine Spiral, always showing Ahab, Dragon Canoe, and everybody else out there. I love y'all, man. Now, the powwow was a good experience. So, what do Indians do after a powwow? Well, after the powwow, they usually share stories, all right, experiences, traditions. They reconnect, which we doing right now. Dawa Da for being here. They enjoy some food, and that's what we got today. We're cooking up a good meal. This is soul food, food for the soul. We're gonna do some reflecting, and then we're gonna pass down some knowledge. We definitely got to do that. So let's go, man. Let's get into it. This is Lessons from the Ancestors. I'm glad you're here. All right, don't mind the music in the background. We got the shaman meditations going on today. Yeah, we taking our shamans back. We taking everything back. All right, they can't have nothing no more. Taking it back. All right. What is a shamanic meditation? What is it? All right. Well, all right. When you meditate with the shamans, right? You're going to hear some humming going on. All right. You're going to be focusing on the subconscious mind. All right. Narratives, spontaneous thoughts, feelings, sensations. All that will arise during this journey. All right. And yeah, that's what we're doing right now. All right. You will have unique superpowers. All right. So it's going to be a good experience with the shamans. We can't let them have that no more. Why the humming? Because if you didn't know, humming is beneficial, especially for anxiety. All right. It helps calm the nerves. All right. The humming stimulates the vagus nerve. All right. When you hum, you create gentle vibrations in your chest, throat, and vocal cords. These vibrations travel along a key route of your vagus nerve, which runs from your brain stem down through your neck, chest, abdomen, touching nearly every major organ along the way. So it's a vibration, right? Everything is vibration. Remember, Hawah, the Almighty, spoke and created everything. When Hawah spoke, it definitely sent out a vibration. All right, we are vibrating. Every time you breathe, you vibrate. So humming eases anxiety. When you hum, when you meditate, it helps your breath. All right, deep and slow. You're sending a signal of safety when you hum. Humming naturally slows your exhale and brings attention to the rhythm of your breath. Okay? Mm. It promotes heart brain health. It calms and quiets the mind. And it helps you get some good rest. All this comes from humming. So don't be scared of the humming in the background today, because that's what we doing today. Okay. All right. Look up the etymology of humming, right? Brisk, vigorous, energetic, coming from hum. And it brings you to the hummingbird. All right, the hummingbird, right? What's so special about these hummingbirds? Hummingbirds, if you didn't know, they're native to the Americas. Yeah, they native to the Americas, these hummingbirds, right? From Alaska to Terra del Fuego. Now these hummingbirds, they some special birds, man. Let's look into them. Why the hummingbird is so special? Well, first of all, their size, right? Did you know that they are the smallest birds in the world? The bee hummingbird is the smallest, at just 2 inches long, weighing less than a penny. Mm. But this tiny size allows them to hover in midair and access flowers that no other bird can. All right, they got a fast metabolism, so they actually can eat 2 to 3 times their body weight. And they visit 1,000 to 2,000 flowers daily. They be moving, man. Their flight, their wings can beat up to 200 times per second. Man. And that can allow them to fly in any direction with precision, up, down, backwards, forwards. They can hover in mid-air by rapidly flapping their wings 12 to 80 times per second. This allows them to drink nectar from flowers while airborne. No other bird can hover like a hummingbird. Native to the Americas. Alright. Their maneuverability. They can fly backwards, forwards, sideways, upside down. And they can even invert their bodies 180 degrees. Alright. Their speed. Well, they are the fastest flying birds when measured by their body length. So pound for pound, they're the fastest. Well, by their length. The speed at which they fly enables quick escape from predators. All right, we're talking about the hummingbird now. And the list goes on and on and on. All right. Look up these hummingbirds, man. some special birds. Alright. Now I'm gonna show a little video of these hummingbirds. We're gonna start off with a little scripture today. Let's go. In fact, hold on, let me see. Let's pull this up. Here we go. Alright, put my hummingbirds back on. Alright, there go the hummingbird right there. Alright, check it out. As we go over here to Deuteronomy, we're going to start at Deuteronomy 32, verse 1. Give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain. My speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. Because I will publish the name of Hawah, ascribe ye greatness unto our power. He is the rock, his work is perfect, for all his ways are judgment, a power of truth, and without iniquity. Just and right is he. They have corrupted themselves, their spot is not the spot of his children. They are a perverse and crooked nation. Do ye thus requite Hawah, O foolish people and unwise? Is not he your father that has bought you? Has he not made you and established you? Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask your father, and he will show you. Your elders, and they will tell you. When Hawah divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of men, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. Yasharel, Hawasharel. For Hawah's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. He found him in the desert land and in the waste, howling wilderness. He led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. As an eagle stirs up her nest, flutters over her young, spreads abroad her wings, takes them and bears them on her wings. So Hawah alone did lead them, and there was no strange power with them. He made him ride on the high places of the earth, that he might eat the increase of the fields. And he made him to suck honey out of the rock, and oil out of the flinty rock, butter of kine and milk of sheep, with fat of lambs and rams of the breed of Bashan, and goats with the fat of the kidneys of the wheat. And you did drink the pure blood of the grape. But Yasharon waxed fat and kicked. You are waxing fat, you are grown thick, you are covered with fatness. Then he forsook Hawah which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. They provoked him to jealousy with strange false gods. With abominations provoked they him to anger. They sacrificed unto Shaddim, evil spirits, not to Hawah, to powers whom they knew not, to new powers that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. Of the rock that begat you, you are unmindful and have forgotten the power that formed you. And when Hawah saw it, he abhorred them, because the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be. For they are a very forward generation, children in whom is no faith. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not Hawah. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn unto the lowest Sheol, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will heap mischiefs upon them. I will spend my arrows upon them. They shall be burnt with hunger and devoured with burning heat and with bitter destruction. I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them with the poison of serpents of the dust. The sword without and terror within shall destroy both the young man and the virgin, the suckling also with the man of gray hairs. I said, I will scatter them into the corners. I will make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. I, Hawah, did this to you. Were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries should behave themselves strangely, and lest they should say, our hand is high, and Hawah has not done all this. So they think they did it. They don't think Hawah did it. For they are a nation void of counsel, neither is there any understanding in them. Oh, that they were wise, that they would understand this, that they would consider their latter end. How should one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight, except their rock has sold them, and Hawah has shut them up? For their rock is not as our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges. For their vine is the vine of Sodom, and of the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of gall. Their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of dragons. Oh, where we at? And the cruel venom of asp. Is not this laid up in store with me and sealed up among my treasures? To me belongs vengeance and recompense. Their foot shall slide in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand. And the things that shall come upon them, make haste. For Hawah shall judge his people and sigh for his servants. When he sees that their power is gone and there is none shut up or left, and he shall say, where are their false gods, their rock in whom they trusted, which did eat the fat of their sacrifices and drank the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up and help you and be your protection. See now that I, even I, am he, and there is no power with me or false god. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven and say, I live forever. If I wet my glittering sword in my hand, take hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to my enemies and will reward them that hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain and of the captives, from the beginning of revengeance upon the enemy. Rejoice, O ye nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants, and will render vengeance to his adversaries, and will be merciful unto his land and to his people. And Moshe came and spoke all the words of this song in the ears of the people. He and Husha, right? Joshua, the son of Nun. And Moshe made an end of speaking all these words to Israel. And he said unto them, set your hearts unto all the words which I testify among you this day, which ye shall command your children to guard to do. All the words of this Torah. For it is not a vain thing for you, because it is your life. And through this thing ye shall prolong your days in the land, whither ye go over the Jordan to possess it. All right. We'll stop right there. Halal Hawah. All right. I wanted to start off with that one. I love that one. Let's keep it rolling. In fact, we're going to get that out of there. So, humming, right? Humming can remind you of humble. All right? When you read scriptures, you come to find that it's all about being humble, submissive, respectful, lowly in manner, modest, not self-asserting, obedient. This is what it's all about. Humble. Now in the scriptures, it'll let you know with the word meek. All right. Numbers 12:3. Now the man Moshe was very meek. Who he was just getting it from, right? The meek shall eat and be satisfied. Psalms 22. Psalms 25. The meek will he guide in judgment, and the meek will he teach his way. Psalms 37. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. All right. So as you can see, it's all about the meek, which means humble, lowly, meek. All right. So today's lesson is about being humble. That's what it's all about. Now let's get it, because time is running out on the hijack, and people starting to notice it. I don't know if they really put everything together, but I got a few videos we're gonna get into about, time, what time it is. All right, let's get it.
I don't care what anybody says. Time is speeding up. This is not an age thing. Time is speeding up. I'm not the only one that feels that. I swear to God, I feel like I just left work and I'm back at work. And then it flies by in a blink of an eye. And then I'm back at work. It's like, there's like this
feel like a lot of us are feeling the same way.
I feel like time has sped up so much that there's not even 24 hours in a day anymore.
I can honestly say I feel that exactly. It's so weird. It doesn't feel like there's 24 hours in the day anymore. It feels like it's more like 16.
I am fully convinced that time is literally speeding up lately.
Why are the weeks going by super fast?
Telling me 2012 to 2017 is the same length of time as 2017 to 2022? Yeah, they're both 5 years. What are you talking about? I don't know. They just don't seem like the same amount of time. I can't explain it.
You know, time is definitely speeding up.
I don't care what anybody says.
All right, they starting to notice now. Here go another one.
Our days feel shorter now. A clock from 2025 moves faster than one from 1968. What's really happening with time? What do you think? If this is real, no wonder our days feel shorter now. A clock from 2025 moves faster than one from 1968. What's really happening with time? What do you think?
What do you think? I got another one.
I think we all feel it and nobody's talking about it. And it's scary. I'll notice it's Monday and then it seems like before I turn around, it's Monday again. It's like I went through a wormhole or something. And stay with me here because what's causing this, it's not what you think. This isn't just about the distraction of our phones and our age. There's something deeper going on. And to be honest, there's something a lot more terrifying going on. And this time thing, it used to not be like that for me. I remember in my 20s working 10-hour days, and I'd still find enough time to go to the gym before work and after work. And now I barely find time to go to the gym at all. And I know that I was young back then, but every day felt like it was the length of about 3 of the days that I'm having right now. And it's gotten significantly worse over about the last 6 years, and we all know what happened around that time. And that made me start thinking, what has happened over the last decade that's caused this time shift?
Okay. All right. They starting to catch on, huh? All right. We've been talking about it for a while over here. Now, he brought up something interesting. All right. He brought up what happened in 2020. Now, if you remember, in 2020, Mr. Trump was talking about this operation that was going on, right? Same time, well, this was actually operation to facilitate and accelerate the development, manufacturing, and distribution of them things. Remember, they was trying to get everybody to get that, right? They needed 70%. They kept saying, we need 70%. And I was telling people, well, my family, I was telling them, hey, don't do it. They did it anyway. They ain't listening to me. But you know what? I was starting to think about it. I was thinking like, you know, maybe they knew something we didn't know. Maybe they knew the prophecy was unfolding and they was trying to slow it down and make people get injected with something that will mess with their brain and their body, you know, to stop the awakening of Israel, like prophecy says, right? Because once Israel wakes up, it's game over, right? But they knew they couldn't stop it. Maybe they was trying to slow it down. I don't know what they was trying to do. All right, but a lot of people fell for it. And look at the name that they called this, right? All right, just something to keep in mind. Ain't trying to set off no alarms on YouTube. We gonna keep it moving. When I was looking up the time speeding stuff, I ran into this little video just for fun. I'm gonna play it real quick, just for laughs. Oh damn, what happened?
Ma'am, I stopped you for speeding. You were going 112.
Well, the sign back there said 112.
That is Highway 112, not the speed limit sign. Ma'am, I stopped you for speeding. You were going 112.
Well, the sign back there said 112.
That is Highway 112, not the speed limit sign.
Just a little jokey joke. Yeah, I ran into that video. I started cracking up. But yeah, all right. So my man was like, he's trying to figure out what was going on, right? Well, when we go look at scriptures, we can see clearly what's going on here. Just go over to the book of 2nd Baruch. All right, chapter 20. Verse 1. Therefore, behold, the days come, and the time shall hasten more than the former. More than the former. And the season shall speed on more than those that are past. And the years shall pass more quickly than the present years. Therefore have I now taken away Zion, that I may the more speedily visit the world in its season. Now therefore hold fast in your heart everything that I command you, and seal it in the recesses of your mind. And then I will show you the judgment of my might and my ways, which are unsearchable. Go, therefore, and sanctify yourself 7 days. Eat no bread, drink no water, speak to no one. And afterwards come to that place, and I will reveal myself to you and speak true things with you. And I will give you commandment regarding the method of the times, for they are coming, and tarry not. All right, that's what's going on. More and more every day, Israelites are realizing they're Israelites, and they want their stuff back. They want their power back. And we living in the prophecy. You are witnessing it. All right, it's the "This Is It" tour, like Michael Jackson. This is it. But yeah, this is what's going on. Now, let's keep it rolling along. All right. Because we're going to talk about the ancestors. And we're going to focus in on the kings of Israel and Judah. It's just a little quick summary right here. All right, just go through it. I'm pretty sure you're aware of this, but maybe some are not. Let's just look it up. Look it over real quick. So after the death of Solomon, the United Kingdom of Israel split into two. Northern Kingdom, which was Israel, Southern Kingdom, which was Judah. Each had its own line of kings, with Judah preserving the Davidic line and Israel experiencing frequent dynastic changes. This post provides a complete list of kings. All right. The divided kingdom begins. So after King Solomon's death, his son Rehoboam's harsh leadership, led to a national rupture. That's 1 Kings chapter 12. 10 tribes broke away to form the northern kingdom, while Judah and Benjamin remained loyal to Rehoboam in the south. All right, and don't forget, they flipped the maps. Right? From this point on, the biblical narrative often moves back and forth between these two kingdoms, each with its own rulers, prophets, and patterns of faithfulness or rebellion. Israel had a total of 19 kings before falling to the Assyrians. Judah had 20 kings before being taken into exile by Babylon. Only David, Solomon, and Saul ruled over the United Kingdom prior to the split. So it split up with Solomon's sons. All right. And then you had, all right, this is the list, right? All right, this is the northern kingdom, Israel. Okay. This is a little summary. Let's just look over it real quick. All right, you had Jeroboam. He messed up from the gate. He set up golden calves at Bethel, idols. All right, that's off the jump. All right, then you had his son, Nadab. Then you had Bashar. He killed Nadab and ruled by force. Then you had Elah, son of Bashar. He was assassinated while drunk. Then you had Zimri. He only reigned 7 days and committed suicide. You had Omri. He was a military commander. All right, began the dynasty. Then you had Ahab, son of Omri, married Jezebel. All right, he was very wicked. He opposed Elijah. And you had Ahaziah, son of Ahab. He reigned briefly. Joram or Jehoram, another son of Ahab, after him. And you had Jehu, anointed by Elisha, known for his bloody reforms. Joahaz, son of Jehu. Jehoash, he had victories over Aram. Jeroboam II, a period of prosperity. Zechariah, assassinated quickly. Shalom, reigned 1 month. Menahem, he was cruel reign. All right, Pekahiah, son of Menahem. Pekah, he opposed Assyria. And then you had Hoshea. All right, not the prophet, the king. All right, that was the last king. And this is the one that we really focusing in on today. It's Hoshea, the last king of the northern tribes. All right, or they call him Ephraim, right? All right, so that's what we really focus in. These are the Judah. It was better on the Judah side, but they messed up too. All right, as you can see. All right, because Rehoboam, he lost the 10 tribes. They was warring. Religious reforms with Asa, Jehoshaphat. He made the alliance. All right, Jehoram, he killed brothers. Ahaziah, killed by Jehu. All right, then you had Atalia. She was a queen. She seized the throne. She was the only queen. Joash repaired the temple. Amaziah, killed by conspirators. Uzziah, long prosperous reign. Jotham was a faithful king. Ahaz, back into the idol worship. Closed the temple. All right, got Hezekiah. He brought the religious revival. All right, he trusted the Most High against Assyria. Manasseh, he had the longest reign, but he was evil. Amon, he was evil. Josiah, he rediscovered the law. I think he brought the Passover back, didn't he? Jehoias, he reigned 3 months. Jehoiakim oppressed the people, burned Jeremiah's scroll. Chen, he exiled to Babylon. Then you had Zedekiah, the last king of Judah. And he witnessed the destruction of Jerusalem. So patterns and takeaways, right? All right, these are the ancestors. The kings of Israel and Judah show a steady pattern of spiritual decline with occasional revivals in Judah. Israel never had a righteous king, while Judah had several who did what was right in the eyes of Hawah. So they had several that did right in the eyes of Hawah from the tribes of Judah, the southern kingdom. The prophets often appear alongside these kings, offering correction and calling the people back to the covenant faithfulness. Elijah, Elisha, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and others are deeply embedded in the royal narratives. So the meaning for today, leadership matters. The kings weren't merely political figures. They shaped the spiritual direction of their people. The division between Israel and Judah reminds us that unity can be broken by pride. Pride, the opposite of humble is pride. All right? And that political power often drifts from spiritual responsibility. Okay? So this is a lesson to be learned from all of this. All right, now we got to look at the past so we can have a brighter future, right? All right. That's just a quick little run through. Now, they were messing up, worshiping idols. All right. What is idolatry? What is idolatry? We got a quick little video on it. Let's get it. There you go.
They take a gift that God has given out of his generosity and make a fake God out of it, and we do the same thing.
Hello.
We take our jobs, we take our children, we take our marriage, we take our body, we take all the things that God has given us for glory and for worship, and we make a God out of it. And so that's the tension, is how do we live this life with all of these good gifts and treat them as gifts but not the source? That's the tension that I think faith has to figure out for us. So idolatry, I got this definition from Tim Keller. Okay. He said idolatry is when you give anything other than God your functional trust. And so that already kind of shows us that idolatry is not simply going up to a statue and bowing down to it. It's simply looking to anything to be what it cannot be, looking to anything to be God for you. Now, if the whole premise of the book is that God is holy, then what I'm trying to investigate and show is that there is an expectation that we place on our idols to be holy like God, meaning be good to us.
Yeah.
That's holiness. Be sovereign for us, be faithful to us, be honest with us. But our idols are incapable of doing that. Why? Because our idols are insufficient to be God.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the baseline.
A good friend of mine said one time, you know, when I looked at my friend, I said, man, looks like you've, you know, kind of trimmed down. And he said, food is not my friend. You know, and that's what I'm going to live my life as. A lot of people, you know, could say food's my friend, gossip's my friend. You know, there's a lot of things that we want to elevate to something. I love what you just said, that will be good to us, you know? And, you know, I mean, the whole Old Testament is this study in what happens when you look to something that doesn't have any
The
power.
whole thing.
The whole
Oh, they laughing, huh?
The whole Old Testament is kind of this chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in looking away from from God and trying to find something. Okay. I just underlined this. So that's the chapter. But truly, in this city, they were gathered together against your holy servants.
All right. You see that? Did you see that? Did you catch that? All right. They bring up the Old Testament and start chuckling. Oh, the Old Testament. And first thing they pull out, Acts. Jump right into the New Testament. Talking about JC, huh? All right. But she said some real stuff, though. Because, yes, an idol is not just a statue. All right. You can turn anything into an idol. That's what people need to realize. All right. Keep yourselves from idols. All right. This is the reason we in this predicament today. All right. An idol is an image visible and invisible, created by the devil to make us turn away from the Most High and worship Him. Okay? You got visible images, all right, that they set up, right? All right. And they also worship the sun, moon, constellations. You know, they'll worship anything except the Most High. All right. But you also got invisible idols. All right. You know, like disrespecting the Sabbath day or any of, you know, it doesn't have to be visible to be an idol. All right. Making up your own rules and breaking Hawah's commandments. All right. A lot of people hobbies end up turning it into their idols. All right. If you put it over the Most High, it's an idol. A lot of people, their phone is their idol. Technology is a lot of people's idols. A lot of people worship themselves. You know, you hear this a lot nowadays. Self-love or love yourself first, right? But you're supposed to love Hawah first. Alright? Hawah created you. Material things, money, clothes, jewelry. Alright? All these things. Greed, sexual immortality, impurity, lust. This is why Hawah gave you the law. So you have some rules to follow. So you won't get caught up in all this stuff. All right, and now, especially nowadays, the spiritual warfare is ramped up to an all-time high because they know what time it is. All right, and they're attacking you. They attack me every day. I have to fight myself every day. All right, it's like I gotta tell them, get off me. Stiff arming this evil spirits. But yeah, man, spiritual warfare is at an all-time high. You can see the evilness in people nowadays. You can see it. I can tell by just looking at them. All right, self-love. People love themselves. That's why people taking selfies everywhere. All right, and people addicted to social media. All this stuff is idols. Do we need to talk about JC? We know that's an idol. Any religion. We already know that. This is just a reminder, man. These is lessons. We gotta learn from our ancestors. That's all this is. Your own thoughts. Alright? That's why I say I be battling my own self. Because you are your own worst enemy. And everything starts in the mind. before you do it, you think it. All right? I think that's why Thoth is called Thoth. Because it sounds like thought. All right? He's the same entity. All of them are the same. It all goes back to the same fallen one that fell and convinced man to commit sin. That's what it all goes back to. So I don't think we need to keep going here, but this is just a reminder. All right? Idols. You look it up. In Hebrew, the word for idol is pesel. All right? Pesel is an idol. Now, I was just looking at the word. You add an N, you got pencil. I know it's an eyes in there, but pesel, pencil. All right, you use pencils to draw, make images. All right. Even though pencil is an English word, but I'm just saying. You know how they like to take our stuff and flip it. So, pesel, idols, etymology, image of a deity, object of worship, apparitions, ghosts. All right, because it's all in your head. You create these evil spirits. They're false gods. All right, phantoms, statues. You know what's crazy is, I was just thinking about the word statue, right? Statue. All right, an image. Now, we know we were created in the image of Hawah, but once you start worshiping it, like you can worship yourself, and that's when it becomes a problem. All right, that's when the image becomes a problem. But if you look at the word statue, and I know this is English, right? But just peep. If you just add a T, then you got statutes, and statutes is the law. All right, an act of legislator of a state. All right, this is the law. The statutes, the rule or law. In scripture, right? Type in statute. Let me see something. All right, statute is not in there, but statutes. Now, we were supposed to keep the statutes, all right, which is the law. But when you take the T away, you get statue. And what's the T? All right, the T, let me see. Paleo Hebrew. Hold on. The T is the Tau. Some people say the Tav. Last letter in Hebrew means the mark, the sign, and the covenant. All right? No longer can they have our stuff because this is the covenant. But you broke this covenant. All right? Just like when you take T or the mark away from statutes, when you take the T off of it, you didn't want to keep the statutes, so you ended up with the statues, the idols. All right, that's just the way my mind works sometimes. I don't know, but yeah. I was just thinking about it like, yeah, you didn't want to keep the statutes. So you ended up getting the statues. Broke that covenant. Alright, just like you take that T away, that covenant, that mark. Now you got statues, idols. Alright, just came to my mind, I don't know, when I was looking it up. But yeah. Idols, man. You gotta put these idols away. Time's running out. Alright. Now, just like we saw Hosea, right? King Hosea. When I did the Peru video, if you seen that, we were comparing the Inca kings to Israelite kings. Now this isn't, I still got it. This isn't 100% guaranteed. Alright, this was just something that just came across when I was looking into Peru. I was like, dang, some of this stuff, it's gotta be biblical, what happened to them, right? And if this is true, Hosea is possibly Atahualpa, the last Inca king in the 1500s. Well, then that would help us put a timeline together of when everything broke down. All right, now this is old when I did that Peru video a little while ago. But we connected Solomon to Manco Capac and so on and so on. Not saying that all of this is accurate. You know, this was just theories. But the similarities between Atahualpa and Hosea stood out to me when I was looking into Atahualpa. Alright, because both him and Hosea, they both got captured alive. Alright, they both were in prison. They had to pay tributes, both of them. Their kingdom or their empire collapsed after them. They both had to kill to gain the throne. And they both ended up with their people scattered afterwards. So that what led me to connect these two together. So we're going to look into Inca for a second. Let's look into the Inca. And I got a little... Oh yeah. Speaking of idols too. Alright, this is what you see today. People that worship idols. Alright. This is what they turn into, man. This is what happens when you worship idols. You get diseases. Alright. This is what we're looking at, man. Because not, it's only a select few that's going to make it to the kingdom. Everybody else that's walking around out here, they are the walking dead. Alright. Even a lot of my family, I ain't gonna lie. Alright. So, we gonna get a little cartoon. I like this cartoon because they actually got Atahualpa kind of brown skin, you know what I'm saying? And the Incas is brown, so. And I like this little cartoon. It's like a 10-minute cartoon. Just kick back so I can give you a brief overview on Atahualpa real quick and the Incas, if you didn't know. I thought this was pretty cool. Let's check it out.
November 15th, 1532. Cajamarca. Hernando de Soto has just made official contact with Atahualpa, and it is not going well. Atahualpa's first words are a rebuke. "I am told you have killed my people and put them in chains," he says, holding up an iron collar as proof. De Soto denies this truth, and Atahualpa invites them to eat. The Spaniards decline food, but agree to sit and drink chicha beer. They're sloppy and spill the drink, a deep affront. Suddenly inspired, De Soto offers a display of horsemanship in return. He canters around the square, cutting and prancing on his strange beast, before charging straight at the emperor. 20 feet, 15, 10. He reins in, so close that the horse's breath flutters the tassels on Atahualpa's royal headband. Atahualpa stands impassive, and the guards who broke ranks to defend him are immediately executed. True Incas do not flinch. The next day, Atahualpa visits Pizarro at De Soto's invitation. The Spanish have camped in an empty city square. Upon his arrival, men sweep the ground before him. Soldiers carry ceremonial axes, and priests and dancers sing praises. Atahualpa himself rides in on a towering litter carried by 80 men. Gold plates on its surface reflecting the dying sun. Macaw feathers ripple in the Andean wind. He has nothing to fear. There are only 168 of these foreigners, and he has 8,000 in his unarmed party. Not to mention 80,000 soldiers waiting in the hills. But no one is here to meet them. The square is empty save for the translator from the day before, and a man in long robes. This translator is not Incan, some low-class sailor from the northern coastal villages who barely speaks Quechua, and Atahualpa suspects this man's grasp of Spanish is just basic. But from what he makes out, this robed man is a priest. He has come from a great king and wants the Inca to accept his god. The priest waves some kind of box, claiming that it contains the word of this god. Intrigued, Atahualpa asks to see it. He listens to the box, but hears nothing. And slowly, with great difficulty, he manages to open it. But he finds no divine voice inside. Only sheets of cloth covered in patterns. Angry at this deception, he tosses the box on the ground. The priest runs towards the buildings, screaming about his god being dishonored. Thunder cracks, and the ranks near the emperor erupt in a fountain of gore. More bangs and jets of smoke from the buildings around them. An ambush. 40 infantry in their metal shirts cut off the exits. Then, 60 men on monstrous beasts, some covered head to foot in metal, charge the back of the Inca ranks. What weapons the Inca carry are ceremonial. The few soldiers carrying real slings and axes find the foreign armor impervious to their weapons. Incans have never seen horses and have no anti-cavalry tactics. There's no escape. Within minutes, hundreds die by Spanish blades or fall crushed under iron horseshoes. One group of panicked attendants surge against an adobe wall so densely that it collapses, spilling fleeing men into the hills. These few escape, but 7,000 others die in the massacre. Atahualpa tries to escape to his litter, but too many of the bearers are dead, and the Spanish are stripping the gold plates from its surface. It tilts and falls. A soldier on horseback towers above him, huge. Suddenly, his sword flashes down, but a man throws himself between the emperor and the blade, and takes the blow on his own arm. It's Francisco Pizarro, and this cut will be the only wound the conquistadors take in what they will later call a battle. Pizarro now holds the Inca emperor, which is good for the conquistadors, because despite the fact that he has cannons, armor, horses, and muskets, he still only has 168 men to defend Cajamarca against 80,000. It was, Atahualpa realized, a hostage situation. These Spanish wanted gold. And gold was something the emperor could provide. So he walked into a room that measured 20 feet by 15 feet and made a chalk line 8 feet up the wall. "If you release me," he said, "I will fill this room with treasure, twice over with silver and once with gold." It would take time, but it could be done. Pizarro agreed, not only because he wanted the gold, though, yeah, he wanted that gold pretty bad, but because a pause in hostilities let him send to Panama for reinforcements. But this just happened to be Atahualpa's plan, too. For 8 months, as the treasure flowed in, he continued running his empire through intermediaries. Slowly, he organized an army to drive the Spanish out once he was released. But he ran into a problem. The half of the empire that had backed Huascar in the Civil War perceived the Spanish as liberators. Yet this perception did not last long. As Pizarro toured the country under royal protection, his disgust with the Incan religion became ever more clear. In one instance, he ordered his men to climb the temple of the earthquake god and throw the god's image off the top, followed by all of the priests. When Atahualpa heard about this, his reaction was strong and immediate. He loved it. Yeah, because you see, the temple had issued a prophecy that Huascar would win the Civil War, and he was glad to see his brother's followers cast down. In fact, his captive brother had met with Pizarro and offered the Spanish an alliance if they'd kill Atahualpa, free him, and install him as ruler instead. But Atahualpa nipped that in the bud as well, by having Huascar assassinated. Meanwhile, Atahualpa befriended his captors, learned to play chess with De Soto, and began dining with Pizarro. The conquistadors, for their part, became fascinated with the Inca ruler, with his fine bat-skin clothes, many wives, and noble bearing. Though Pizarro never dreamed of actually letting Atahualpa go, of course. He was the only thing stopping them from being completely wiped out. But he had become attached to the man. He wanted to take him to Spain as a royal hostage. But factions began to emerge in the Spanish ranks. Once the ransom was collected and divided, Pizarro's expedition partner, Diego de Almagro, was unhappy with his men's take. Moreover, Almagro was distrustful of Atahualpa and argued for his immediate execution. Surrounded and cut off, Pizarro could not afford dissension in the ranks. So when presented with evidence that Atahualpa was raising armies, Pizarro convened a trial and convicted the Inca emperor of treason against the Spanish crown. So he had a choice: burn at the stake or convert to Christianity and be strangled with a cord. Atahualpa, who wanted to keep his body whole so he could live out eternity as a venerated mummy, chose the cross and the cord. Killing the emperor was a bad idea. With Atahualpa dead, chaos descended. Even after the Spanish had subdued the country, they would face between 20 to 30 rebellions in the first 2 decades of their rule. They installed 2 puppet emperors, the first dying of smallpox before they even got him to Cusco, and the second shared power for 3 years before escaping to found a neo-Inca state in the Peruvian Amazon, where Sapa Incas would reign for 4 more decades. Twice rebel armies besieged Cusco, and once even in the new Spanish capital of Lima. But the Incan resistance could not be sustained. The Spanish learned that if they just held out long enough, Incan armies would dissolve once the crops needed to be brought in. Not to mention, the Incan practice of generals leading from the front was really not practical when facing an enemy armed with cannons and firearms. Spanish colonial government went about destroying Incan culture through forced conversion and cultural destruction. They razed temples and built churches on their foundations. They melted down every gold object, remaking them into altarpieces or sending them back to Spain, and they confiscated and buried the royal mummies. But Pizarro and his men had their own problems. The Spanish crown was horrified at Atahualpa's execution. Pizarro and his men were technically just peasants after all, and under no circumstances could they allow a bunch of peasants to commit regicide. Who cared if Atahualpa was a foreign idol worshiper? Killing a king set a bad precedent. And also, Pizarro's relationship with Almagro deteriorated further. The Spanish crown had made Almagro the governor of southern Peru and Pizarro the governor of northern Peru, but was vague about who truly governed Cusco. Soon, the conquistadors were fighting with each other, as well as the Incas. And when Pizarro finally killed his rival, the man's son took up the feud. 8 years after conquering Peru, 20 men stormed Pizarro's mansion in Lima. As friends died to protect him, the old man managed to find a sword and half-buckle his breastplate. He killed the first 2 attackers, but when he ran a third through, the flesh trapped his blade, and the assassins fell on him. Pizarro, the man who'd toppled an empire for gold and Christianity, and whose conquest killed millions through disease, starvation, and violence, died on the floor of his governor's mansion, calling for Jesus and drawing a cross in his own blood. The Inca survived him. Because ironically, the Spanish repression had rehabilitated the Inca's reputation. Groups who'd chafed under Incan rule began looking back on it as a golden age, and told stories of Inca folk heroes standing up for the people. In fact, if you visit Peru today, you'll see the Inca legacy in textiles, cultural recreations, political movements, and even bottles of soda. Their monuments, their roads, and their history are a source of pride, even in areas where they were originally considered foreign occupiers. Once, Peru had belonged to the Incas, but today, the Incas belong to Peru. See you next time, everybody.
All right. Appreciate that extra history. It's a good little cartoon right there, man. I like that one, man. All right, we're going to keep things rolling along. That's just to give you a little summary. So, the fall of Israel, right? Fall of Samaria. The evil reign of Hoshea. Alright. Who we are comparing to Atahualpa. Alright. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, Hoshea the son of Elah became king in Israel and Samaria. He reigned 9 years. And he did evil in the sight of Hawah, but not as the kings of Israel who were before him. Alright. And he did evil in the sight of Hawah. He was an evil man, by no means worse than the kings of Israel. Sadly, his bloody overthrow of the preceding king and violent ascent to power did not make him unusually evil among the kings of Israel. Alright. So yeah. Hoshea was messing up, man. Alright. And then Shalmaneser came through, came up against him, and he had to pay tribute. Alright, similar to the Atahualpa. Alright. Hoshea became his vassal and paid him tribute. Then he thought he had a strategic opportunity when a new king came to the Syrian throne, but he was wrong. When Tiglath-Pileser died and was succeeded by his own son Shalmaneser, the time seemed right for certain Western states to renounce their vassal status. Moreover, a seemingly important ally lay southward in the delta of Egypt. Alright, just gonna run through this real quick. Alright, then the northern kingdom of Israel is finally conquered by the Assyrians. So Assyria went throughout all the land, went up to Samaria and besieged it for 3 years. Alright, Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away to Assyria, placed them in Halal by the Harbor. Okay. So yeah. The reasons for the fall of the northern kingdom: they disregarded Hawah of their redemption. Alright, worshiping the idols. They had feared other powers. And just like we saw in that little cartoon, like we read in Deuteronomy, man, how did they conquer them? And they only had a little bit of people. They had thousands, 80,000, they said. 80,000 soldiers. Compared to what they had, 100 something? That's just like we saw in scriptures in Deuteronomy, right? All right, one will put 1,000, and two, how many? How many said? All right, we read it earlier. All right, they confirmed themselves to the godless nations around them. All right, sounds just like scripture. I mean, just like the whole Inca story, right? Okay. So yeah, you know the downfall, right? They set up themselves sacred pillars and wooden images on every high hill, under every green tree. There they burn incense on all high places. Alright? They rejected the repeated warnings. They were warned multiple times. Turn from your evil ways. Nevertheless, they would not hear. Stiff-necked, follow idols, became idolaters. So, all right, we ain't got to go through all this. We get it, right? You get it, right? So, here goes some statues of Atahualpa. All right, let's look at these real quick. All right, here go your man Atahualpa. What they got going on with him? They don't want to pop up. There we go. Atahualpa. A lot of these is hijack images. Alright, but I'm just showing you. They got a whole bunch of statues up. Alright. I got a couple more images. Let's see what we got. Atahualpa. Alright, here you go. I don't know why I gotta do this twice. Every time. Alright, there you go. You see decked out with the sun emblems all over him. Alright, to go Atahualpa. He had the scepter in his hand. Let me get a couple more. Alright, there you go. Let's get one more. Alright. Atahualpa right there for you. Could this be King Hoshea from the Bible? If so, we can definitely get this timeline together. Let's keep it moving. Where we going next? Let me see. Where we going? Oh yeah, let's get some background on South America, man. Since we over there in South America, let's talk about it for a second. Give you a little history on it. We start off with the Lima culture. Okay. Known for painted adobe buildings, Lima were conquered by the Hawari. They were called the Hawari, or the Wari people. Like Moshe or Moshe before them. See the biblical names, right? Alright. Then you had the Hawari, militaristic empire. I'm just gonna run through these real quick so we get to the anchors. This is the Hawari. So you see what they looking like out there. Alright, it's crazy, right? Huh? They just got a bunch of heads on the wall. Huh? Interesting, very interesting. In the Hawari land, Tia Hawa Nako. See Hawa and everything. HUA Hawa. Alright. Hawari and his large urban centers like the Kaja Marquila. This marks the end of urban life in southern Peru until the Inca arrived. So, until the Inca came, that was the end. So what this is, northern coastal Peru at the site of future cities such as Con. Is that Chan or Con? Pakat Namu. Con or Chan. Which one is it? But this is interesting right here. Yeah, look at that. Okay, then you had the Shimu. You see Chi and everything too. The CHI, that Chi or that Ki. Alright, the kingdom of Shimu, first mega state in Peru. It reached its height of power in the 15th century, not long before being conquered by the Incas. So the Chimu got conquered by the Incas. Alright, they originated in the Moshi or the Moshe. Which one is it? Valley. Alright. Where is capital Con or Chan. So that's the Chimu. Alright, they out there making cloths and pillows and the Chimu. Mu. Like the land of Mu. Mu. Alright, like all other great civilizations, the Shimu were militaristic and expansionistic. Okay. The Inca conquered the Shimu and was absorbed into Tawan Tensuyu. I hope I said that right. Tawan Tensuyu. Alright. Then you got the Ching Cha or the Chincha. She in front of that too. What's up with the Chincha? What's up with them? Let me see. They was the fishers, right? Specialized people oriented totally towards a fishing economy. So the Chincha, they was good at fishing. Excellent fishers. Alright, the Chinchorro. And you had the Chinchorro Chi in front of that. Sedentary fishermen inhabiting the Pacific coastal region of current northern Chile and southern Peru. Presence of fresh water. Alright, so that's the Chinchorro, right? Over there in Chile. What they got, man? Flamingos over there? Huh. Okay, out there in Chile. Alright. The Chinchorro were expert fishermen. Alright, got a little map for you. Arica. You just add an F on there, you got Africa on it. Arica. Alright, cool. Oh yeah, they had the mummies, the Chinchorro mummies. They was just talking about the mummies in that little cartoon. Alright. Alright, this one look kind of crazy too. I ain't gonna lie. Alright. That's one of them Chinchorro monkey mummies. Excuse me. With black ooze coming out of his chest. Ugh. So with that black ooze, man. Alright, here go another Chinchorro mummy. We're just checking out the history real quick. Let's get a little history lesson on it. Alright. Mummified. Alright, they was doing mummies way before the so-called Egyptians, right? Didn't they say that? Yeah. They are the oldest examples of artificially mummified human remains becoming popular by up to 2,000 years before the Egyptian mummies. 2,000 years before the Egyptian mummies. Alright. Now you got heads inside of this blob over there in Chile. I don't know what happened right here. It looked like they just got melted with silver or some kind of metal or something, right? I don't know what happened to them. Alright, you had natural mummification. And then you had the black mummy technique. You had all different types. Red mummy technique. This the red mummy technique. Chinchorro. 4,500-year-old Chinchorro mummy. Got a wig on. Mud coat. What's up with that mud coat? They said about it? Hold on. Oh, it had a foul smell. And desiccated mummy would be covered. Artisan no longer removed the organs of the dead. Instead, a thick coat of mud, sand, and binder like egg or fish glue was used to cover the body. They're using fish glue. Say what? Bandaging techniques, tattooing. Alright, they tattooed a mustache like dotted line. That's wild. Oh yeah, arsenic found in the Chilean mummies. They had poison-laced drinking water that killed some of the world's oldest mummies. They was poisoning the water, man. What they was poisoning with? It was found in the harsh northern deserts of Chile. What they was poisoning the water with, man. Alright, what we got over here in Colombia? Look at that. Some artifacts from Colombia, huh? Okay. Get a close up. Got the baby. Alright. Over there in Colombia, man. You got the Sakan. What's up with the Sakan? Sakan, a society of farmers, ceramic artisans, fishermen, and metal workers. They built brick adobe platform mounds for ceremonial and funerary purposes. It was building mounds for ceremonial and funerary purposes like their Moshe or Moshe precursors. The people of Sakan built monumental temples and palaces where rituals and funerals demanded splendid paraphernalia. The people of Sakan built highly refined irrigation projects, which opened the desert to richly productive agriculture. See? Alright, they set everything up. Man, this is crazy here. They got bodies chopped up in there, don't they? This is a royal tomb. The reason for the unusual positioning of the queen's body is unknown. Alright, this is getting weird now. Alright, the Anchor. Alright, here we go. The Anchor, who called themselves the Tawan Tensu. Oh, I hope I said that right. Tawan Tensu. They ruled an empire extending from Ecuador to central Chile. Their capital was Cusco or Costco. That's why we got them Costco's everywhere. The Inca were Peruvian highland warrior people. The king of the Inca Empire was called the Sapa Inca. Alright. The race of Inca, as well as the Holy Roman emperors who later came to rule them during the reign of Charles V. Carlos Quinto. Two old paintings with Providence in Peru answers both questions definitively. I think this is a famous painting. They say it's the oldest known signed and dated painting from South America. 1599. Now I looked into this painting, man, because this painting is interesting. Right? They got Don on the names, right? They got these collars on. They call these roughs. All right, these are called roughs. You'll see these on some Moors and so-called black Europeans. But these, I believe, were actually converts. All right. This is a questionable painting right here. This painting was sent as a gift to the King of Spain. So, why was this a gift? I believe it's because these were actually converts, and they was given this as a gift to say, "Hey, look what we got! Look what we got them doing, right? We got them. This is like that. We got them picture. You know what I'm saying? Here you go. All right, this is in the Larco Museum, Lima, Peru. All right, modern Peruvian people. They don't look the same no more. All right, what Trump said? They don't look like Indians to me. All right, and what's up with the baby though? I don't know. We're gonna roll through this. Let me see. Here you go with the Inca King list. All right. They got the hijack JC at the top, ain't it? Is that supposed to be JC? All right, but as you can see, Menko Kapak, all right, who may be Solomon, I don't know. Could be Jeroboam as well. I don't know. All right, I gotta investigate a little bit more on that. All right, we go all the way. All these look the same until you get over here to Atahualpa. He just the last one, Atahualpa. And then things switch up. You got Carlos Quinto hijacking the line of the Incas, putting his cross up. He got a totally different crown. He got a totally different dress. royal outfit, whatever you want to call it. All right. They tried to whitewash these images. You can still see the melanation. You can see where they just kind of like took an eraser and patched it a little bit. All right. They tried. Here's a close up. Atahualpa. All right, and Carlos Quinto, the super hijack. We're gonna get a little bit on Carlos Quinto in a second. We're gonna get on him. All right. Because he had a big part in all of this. Here go the fakery now. This supposed to be the modern day. They switched up the whole face. They don't look the same no more. Alright? Now look at this. Really switched it up down here. Look. Even switched up Carlos. Alright, now they talking JC. Alright. Okay, I just want to give you a little history on South America. Since we talking Incas, just run through that real quick. So we can get a little bit understanding going on. Now, where we going next? Let's see. Okay, so we said that possibly there's a similarity between Menko Kapak and Solomon. Now, you know they hijack everything. All right, Solomon was called Solomon the Builder. This is a diagram of what the temple could have possibly looked like that Solomon built for Hawaii. All right, got the Holy of Holies right there. All right. Everything was elegant. Everything was top notch. It was decked out. I mean, the presence of Hawaii was in there. All right. You know Hawaii, you can't have nothing unclean around Hawaii. Now, even the floors, because this is another example of what the temple could have looked like. But as you can see, it got the checker floors. So even their checkerboard floors that they like to use, Masonic temples, right? They hijack it. Even that's a hijack. Let me get one more on that. Let me get a nice one. See, so this could have been what the temple was looking like, man. Yeah, nice. Alright, this is where they do the burnt offerings at. Alright. I don't know. You know, we don't know. Wasn't there. But you know, they do got the descriptions. When you get to that part in the Bible, the building of the temple, right? Now, let's keep rolling. Cause Freemasonry originated with Solomon, King Solomon. All right. That's why you see the origin of Freemasonry starts with King Solomon. So they say. And that would be why they got Solomon's name on a lot of these Masonic lodges. All right, I got one right up the street from me. All right, matter of fact, it's one of the oldest ones. But they everywhere. All right, like just about every town got one of these lodges. All right. That they say is King Solomon's Masonic Lodge. See the checkerboard? All right. I guess people, this is where they get initiated at up in there. Who knows what they're doing up in these places, man? All right. The ones at the top, they know what it is. A lot of people get brought in and they don't even know what it is. But once you get in too deep, it's too late. All right. Once it's up, it's stuck. So, just to show you, All right. Now, why? Why are they modeling things after Solomon? Now we got to go get it over here in the testament of Solomon. All right. Because Solomon messed up. This is the testament of Solomon. We're going to get a quick summary of what happened. All right. We talked about this in the Arabia video. We're going to get a couple of these real quick. Start at 125. And I, Solomon, questioned the other spirit which came up with the pillar from the depth of the Red Sea. And I said to him, who art thou? And what caused thee? And what is thy business? For I hear many things about thee. And the demon or the evil spirit answered, I, O King Solomon, am a busybody. I can't say it right. All right, busy. Now, Solomon, if you haven't read this before, Solomon, he was controlling all of them with this ring, right? Which had a pentagram on it. It's called it a pent alpha. All right, so this is why I guess they use pentagrams to summon evil spirits today. They get it from Solomon. Everything they do is a play off of you. All right, all they can do is mimic and mock. But they want to focus on the evil instead of the good, because Solomon did good until he messed up. But let's get it. I am a descendant of the archangel. This is what the demon said. Once as I sat in the first heaven, of which the name is Amelie. I ain't gonna say none of these names right on purpose. I then am a fierce spirit and winged, and with a single wing plotting against every spirit under heaven. I was present with Moses when Moses went in before Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and I hardened his heart. I am he who Yanni, I think that's supposed to be Janny, and Amber, invoked harming with Moses in Egypt. So he was there with Moshe in Egypt. I am he who fought against Moses with wonders and signs. I said therefore to him, how wast thou found in the Red Sea? And he answered, in the exodus of the sons of Israel, I hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and I excited his heart and that of his ministers, and I caused them to pursue after the children of Israel. So you was the one that was hardening the heart of Pharaoh, huh? And Pharaoh followed with me all the Egyptians. Then I was present there, and we followed together, and we all came up upon the Red Sea. And it came to pass when the children of Israel had crossed over, the water returned and hid all the host of the Egyptians and all their might. And I remained in the sea, being kept under this pillar. So he stayed in the water, huh? But when Epi came, all right, I'm messing it up on purpose. When Epi came, being sent by thee, shut up in the vessel of a flask. Oh, you got shut up in a vessel of a flask? Sound like genie up in the lamp, don't it? He fetched me up to thee. I, therefore, Solomon, having heard this, glorified Hawah and adjured the demons not to disobey me, but to remain supporting the pillar. And they both swear, saying, Hawah, thy power liveth. We will not let go this pillar unto the world's end. But on whatever day this stone fall, then shall be the end of the world. So when that stone fall, that's the end of the world, huh? This legend of the heavy cornerstone and cornerstone and of the spirit supporting a column in the temple, reappears in the Gregorian Acts of Nuana in the 4th century. There it is, a huge wooden column that is lifted by spirit agency when the king and workmen have failed to move it into place. The spirit supported in the air before letting it sink into its place. These acts will shortly appear in an English translation by Miss Wardrop in the forthcoming number of the Studi Biblica. And I, Solomon, glorified Hawah and adorned the temple of Hawah with all fair seeming. And I was glad in spirit in my kingdom, and there was peace in my days. See? Solomon had peace in his days. And I took wives of my own from every land who were numberless. And I marched against the Jebusians. And there I saw Jebusian, daughter of a man, and fell violently in love with her, and desired to take her to wife. So this when he started to mess up, right? Along with my other wives, and I said to their priests, give me the Sonmanites or Shunamites to wife. But the priest of Moli said to me, if thou lovest this maiden, go in and worship our gods. All right, the great god Raphi and the god called Moli. I therefore was in fear of the glory of the Most High and did not follow to worship. And I said to them, I will not worship a strange god. What is this proposal? That ye compel me to do so much? But they said, by our fathers. And when I answered that I would on no account worship strange powers, they told the maiden not to sleep with me until I complied and sacrificed to their powers. I then was moved, but crafty arrow brought and laid by her for me 5 grasshoppers, saying, all right, that's another evil spirit, arrows. Take these grasshoppers and crush them together in the name of the god Moli, and then will I sleep with you. All right, and this I actually did. So this was the mess up. All right, so they say. And at once the spirit of the Most High departed from me. Soon as he did it, the spirit of Hawah departed from him. And I became weak as well as foolish in my words. And after that, I was obliged by her to build a temple of idols to Ba, and to Raphi, and to Moli, and to the other idols. So this is what he was doing after after the spirit of Hawah departed from Solomon. He built temples to Ba, Raphi, and Moli, and to other idols. I then, wretch that I am, followed her advice, and the glory of Hawah quite departed from me, and my spirit was darkened, and I became the sport of idols and demons. Wherefore I wrote out this testament, that ye would get possession of it, that ye who get possession of it may pity and attend to the last things and not to the first. See? So Solomon wrote this so you can look at what he did. All right? So that ye may find grace forever and ever. Halal Hawah. So Solomon wrote this not for you to mimic what he did, but to learn from it. This is a lesson from the ancestor. All right. This is from King Solomon. All right. So that's all we're gonna get out of the Testament of Solomon. Okay, where we at? We rolling now. So this is why they got these Solomon lodges, right? Hey, what happened to my site, man? Oh, it just disappeared on me. I just left, come back, it's gone. I think we already did that one anyway, didn't we? Man, where my stuff at? All right, so this is what they talking about. All right, the Temple of Ba, which Solomon built. Right now, this is the modern day. This is over there in the fake Holy Lands, not the real Holy Lands. Right? As you can tell, this don't look ancient. All right, it just look like a bunch of yeah, this don't look ancient, man. This look like they just threw this together. All right, you could tell it was ancient, but just to let you know, this Temple of Ba was built by Solomon. So they say, right? Now notice, where is that? All right, this is supposed to be a reconstruction of what it looked like before it got torn away. Now notice the assembly of it and how it looks. You got the triangle at the top with a bunch of pillars. All right, which looks like a lot of modern day churches I see. All right, this style is very familiar. All right, with a lot of things they got in DC. Washington, D.C., that is. Just like your nation's capital. When you look at the nation's capital, all right, what do you see? Now, I know it's got a lot of building on the side of it. All right, but in the center is similar to the Temple of Ba. All right, right here in your nation's capital, which is not a surprise. It's all Freemason stuff when you go down there. All right, but it's just to let you know, right? And then they got it right down the side too, right? You see that? The Temple of Ba is right there in DC. Okay. All right. Now, I don't know, because this actually could be ancient and they just built upon it, because I saw one time when they was building the obelisk right here. All right, this actually underneath of it is an ancient obelisk right underneath of it. They just built on top of it. All right, look, they got the same type of style right here. All right, ain't that where they got the Lincoln statue at? Look like the Temple of Ba, right? Same style. All right, all this is Freemasonry. This whole area. It's actually a pentagram. Ain't it a pentagram? If you look at it over top of it. All right, but anyway, let's move on. So same thing with Manco Capac. All right, he built the Coricancha in the Inca capital of Cusco, which contained the Temple of the Sun. All right, they was doing a lot of sun worship, which was not only the most sacred site or Huaca in the Inca religion, but considered the very center of the Inca world. So Same thing going on with the Incas, man. Got caught up worshiping idols. When you look at the timeline, this will give you a timeline. If this matches up, if Manco Capac is Solomon, that would put him in the 1100s, 1200s, right? That's what they got. All right, 1533 is when Pizarro takes down Atahualpa and takes the Inca capital. So that was less than 500 years ago. Now, if that was Atahualpa, that pushes the timeline way up than what they say it is. They say it's like, what? When they say the Bible happened and all that stuff? All right, but they lied. They had like 1,000 years. Anyway, by the time they lied about everything. All right. But this is just to show you the comparison, the Cori Concha, they call it. Complex. It's a complex. All right, for the Incas. Okay. Now, let me see. We're going to get into a book. We're going to get into a book about it a little bit. Let's go. All right. This is History of the New World. History of the New World by Girolamo Benzami. All right. Showing his travels in America from 1541 to 1556. So that's right after Atahualpa. All right. I guess that's what he looked like. All right, let's start. So I'm showing you this because we got to look at the good and the bad. All right. All right, we got to look at the bad too. Let's go to let's go over here real quick. Where we going? Yeah, let's go right here. All right, we just gonna jump right in to page 247. Okay. In this great province, let's zoom that in. In this great province of Quito, as also in many other parts of Peru, although several of the nations possess languages peculiar to each, yet when they were subjugated by the Ingui, it was commanded that everybody should learn the language of Cusco, and that fathers should teach it to their children. Hence, this language is used generally all through the countries where the dominion extends. Although these people hold communication with the devil, they do what? They hold communication with the devil. All right, this is an eyewitness account now. They reverence the sun as their principal deity. When either the chiefs or the priests wish to ask some favor of him, they go in the morning at sunrise to the top of a flight of stone steps, all right, made on purpose, holding their heads down, clapping their hands, then rubbing them, then raising them as if they wish to touch him, repeating some of their prayers and asking for what they want of him. Thus now, when the Spaniards ill-treat them, they worship them as if they were the sun. So they was worshiping the Spaniards and prayed them to be merciful and not to harm them. So they say. All right, a lot of them was fighting the Spaniards. See, there was a lot of wars going on too, right? Some of them did join sides with the Spaniards. That's what really hurt. All right, the backstabbers. But yeah, the temples especially those of the sun, were large and sumptuous, the walls being adorned with sheets. All right, here go a picture of them worshiping the sun, messing up, right? They was messing up. Indians of Peru worshiping the sun. All right, they had sheets of gold and silver. Many virgins called mamacone were employed exclusively in the spinning and weaving for their deities, to whom they sacrificed both men and children. Although they do not eat their flesh, they also sacrifice sheep, birds, and other animals. And with the blood of the victim, they anoint the face of the idol. So they're taking the blood of the victim and putting it on the idol. All right, because that's what Satan wants, blood, right? And the door of the temple, when they wish to communicate with the devil or sow seed or go on some enterprise, the priest fasts for several days. All right. When some chief dies, so you supposed to be fasting for Hawah. They fasting, they doing exact opposite. All right. With the devil. When some chief dies, they make a grand funeral and deposit with him a great deal of worked gold and silver, together with some of his most beautiful and beloved wives and servants, also clothes, grain, and wine, so that they might eat and drink until they reach the next world. All right. They made this mode of burial is used in many parts of India. All right, we're talking India Superior. They believe in the immortality of the soul, and the Spaniards have discovered many very rich sepulchres, though very few proportion to those that still exist. They mourn for their dead many days. The men wear a shirt without sleeves, made either of wool or cotton, and a cloak clustered on one shoulder. Their nobles are decorated with a fillet round the head, or fillet, and a woolen tassel hanging from the left ear. They make shoes of a white herb like hemp. The women wear a long cloak which covers them from the shoulders down to the feet. They bind themselves round with a band 4 fingers wide, which they call shiumbi. Look at that she again, shiumbi. On their neck, they wear long needles of gold and silver called topi. Over the other cloak, they have a short one called laquita. Their hair grows long. This is the mode of dress at Cusco. When they go out to walk, they rub their faces over with a certain red bitumen on account of the wind. They hold a herb in their mouths called coca. What? On that coca, huh? Which must yield some nourishment, for they can walk a whole day without eating or drinking. Oh yeah, they on that coca. They ain't eating or drinking. This herb is their principal merchandise. They have also a sort of root like truffles, but possessing very little flavor. They used to have a very great number of a kind of sheep as large as donkeys, almost like gambeli. And it is said that not long ago a disease came over them like a leprosy, by which they lost a large proportion of them. But the leprosy of the Spaniards has been much worse. For they have destroyed nearly the whole of them. The flesh has a game-like flavor. The natives used to dress themselves abundantly in the wool of these animals, but now there is a great scarcity of it. The principal delight of these people and of those in other provinces also is to drink. When thoroughly drunk, Each man seizes on the woman he likes best to indulge his passions with. So they get drunk and start pulling on the women, scarcely respecting their mothers or their daughters. The chiefs and the nobles marry their sisters. What? No, they not. They make no bread at all, but eat the grain either boiled or roasted. This was one of the laws enjoined by Kawanakava in order that when he wanted to go upon an enterprise, nobody should be busying himself in making bread, and thus they still adhere to this custom. So this just to give you a little bit idea of what's going on, all right? This was around the time they was messing up, worshiping idols and whatnot, getting drunk, smoking dope. All right, they was down bad out there, wasn't it? All right, ain't nothing new under the sun, is it? Now, we're gonna skip on over here to another part real quick. Let me see. Yeah, let's go on over here real quick. Did I want to get any more of this right here? Let me see. Now we gonna skip on over to the next part, man. Let's skip on to the next part. It's about to get real in just a second on there, though. Just giving you a heads up. It's gonna get real in a second. All right, here we go. Already, my readers may see what was the leading feeling in the Spaniards in conquering these Indian nations. Although they praised themselves so much in their histories as having always fought for the Christian faith, but experience clearly shows, especially in these countries, that they fought for avarice, and that this is the truth. It's shown by the great variety of captains and governors that were sent out. For wherever they did not find riches, they would not stay. So they only out there looking for gold, huh? Gold, silver, and riches. And among so many, I will name a few. First, Antonio Cedegino entered the Gulf of Paria with upwards of 700 Spaniards in search of gold. After hunting through 3 provinces without finding the riches he expected, he would not remain in the country. He consequently fell ill from vexation and from despondency more than from disease. Ended his days. For out of the great number of soldiers that he took with him, only 55 returned to the Gulf. Fernando de Soto, with 500 Spaniards, was appointed governor of Florida, which province was discovered by Juan Ponce de Leon, and he gave it this name because he arrived there at Easter. That's what they say, or the day of the resurrection. Soto went scouring about through many districts, making sure that he should find some very great treasure. And having seen several Indians wearing golden trinkets, he inquired where they got them. And they said from a very distant country. The governor, thinking that they said this only to induce him to quit them, as they already knew what the Christians were in quest of, began to torment some of them to induce a confession of where they kept it. So he started tormenting them because they wouldn't tell him where the gold was at and where it was to be found. Amongst other cruelties that he inflicted on these people, he seized 15 caciques and threatened to burn them if they did not show him whence they obtained the gold. Whereupon those miserable men, surprised and frightened, hardly knowing what they said, promised in the course of 8 days to lead him to a place where he would find it in great abundance. But after marching upwards of 12 days without seeing any signs of gold, the governor, becoming bitterly enraged against them, had their hands cut off. What? And turned them adrift. They cut their hands off. Soon after, one of the principal chiefs of the province came to see the governor, bringing him a present of 2 parrots and some feathers, and then inquired who he was, whence he came, and what he was seeking, doing so much evil. The governor answered through an interpreter what all the other captains used to say, that he was a Christian, son of God, the creator of heaven and earth. Okay. And that he had come to teach him his divine law. So that must have been a common quote. I'm a Christian. I'm coming to teach you the law. But to this, the chief replied, if thy God commands thee to go to the country of strangers, robbing and burning, killing and doing every sort of evil, we give thee to understand that we are not inclined to believe in him, nor even in his law. Having said this, he went away. Then the governor proceeded sometimes in one direction, sometimes in another, hoping to find very rich mines without caring to build a town. At the end of 5 years, he died of a flux of blood, thus losing his life and his thirst of gold altogether, as well as the treasure that he had got from sacking Atabalida. All right, that's Atahualpa in Peru, so they just got it spelled different. All right, this is Atahualpa. All right, matter of fact, they got a quick little picture after they say Atabaliba, right? All right, here you go. All right, Atahualpa. All right, they just got it spelled a little different. Atahualpa, Atahabaliba, Ultimus Rex Peruanorum. All right, so we talking Atahualpa now. All right. Okay. We're gonna get one more spot. One more spot in this book real quick. Where we going? Oh yeah. Alright. Okay, where we at? Alright, this is the last part I want to get out this book real quick. Where we at? Yeah, right here. Alright. The Spaniards erected on the seashore of the mainland the following towns: Nombre de Dios, La Antica, Cartagena, Saint Marta, Capola Vela, Venezuela, or Valenzuela, a very rich province, which the emperor in the year 1528 ceded it to the Viziere Alemane, and the first governor whom they sent was Ambrose Alfinkier, who made many forays among those people, committing great cruelties in his anxiety for gold. But he was finally killed by the Indians. Then they sent another named Giorgio of their family. One night, however, The Spaniards who were with him treacherously killed him in his bed, mangled him, and then dragging his body most ignominiously out of the house and all about the piazza, finally threw it into a wood where at dawn it was burned. Dang. The malefactors were soon after, by order of the emperor, most severely punished as the crime deserved. So we talking about the captain, right? Alright. As I have promised to compress this, my short history in the most suitable manner, it seems to me eligible to return to the affairs of La Isla Española and its neighbors. On the death of Colombo, the king, Don Ferdinand, sent Diego, the son of the Almirante, as viceroy to La Española, with the same authority that he had granted to his father, but he did not stay there long. The Spaniards, greatly resenting the being commanded by a foreigner, wrote a great deal of evil about him, which led the emperor to deprive him of the government. And having recalled him to Spain, he disputed with the king during many years about his privileges, and finally died without his affairs being settled. Then the other governors were successively sent to La Española, as well clerical as secular, to the natives, finding themselves intolerably oppressed and worked on every side, with no chance of regaining their liberty, with sighs and tears longed for death. It was working them so bad they wanted to die. All right, here goes an image. All right, see him hanging off the tree, man. All right, and this, he beating him with a stick. What's going on here, man? This is the Indians of La Española hanging themselves in the woods rather than serve the Christians. So they would rather hang themselves than serve the Christians, man. Wherefore, many went to the woods and there hung themselves after having killed their children, saying it was far better to die than to live so miserably, serving such and so many ferocious tyrants and wicked thieves. The women, with the juice of a certain herb, dissipated their pregnancy. So they were sterilizing themselves so they wouldn't have no children, in order not to produce children. And then, following the example of their husbands, hung themselves. Dang. Some threw themselves from high cliffs, down precipices. Others jumped into the sea, others again into the rivers, and others starved themselves to death. Sometimes they killed themselves with their flint knives. Others pierced their bosoms or their sides with appointed stakes. Finally, out of the 2 millions of original inhabitants, through the number of suicides and other deaths occasioned by the oppressive labor and cruelties imposed by the Spaniards, there are not 150 now to be found. Oh my goodness. They went from 2 million to less than 150. Man. And this has been their way of making Christians of them. What befell those poor islanders has happened also to all the others around Cuba, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, and other places. And although an almost infinite number of the inhabitants of the mainland have been brought to these islands as slaves, they have nearly all since died. In short, I may say that wherever the Spaniards have unfurled their banner, they have, by their great cruelties, inspired the inhabitants with perpetual hatred. All right, perpetual hatred. Sound like Doomed Verses, 1452. Perpetual slavery. Touching the religion, not only of this island, but also of all the other nations of the New World, so-called New World. They worshipped and still worship various deities, many painted, others sculptured, some formed of clay, others of wood or gold or silver. And in some places I've seen them of the shape of birds or tigers, stags, and other sorts of animals, but I have mostly seen them made with the tail and feet, like our Satan. Let me get a sip of water, man. And although our priests and monks have endeavored and still daily endeavor to destroy these idols, yet the ministers of their faith keep a great many of them hidden in the caves and underground, sacrificing to them occultly and asking in what manner they can possibly expel the Christians from their country. All right. Well, they said they was going around destroying their idols when the Christians were doing all this in the name of their idol. So it was idol on idol, huh? They have a name for everyone regarding this as their patron on this subject, and that as their patron on that subject. As the Gentiles used to do in ancient times, assigning victories to Mars on earth and on the sea to Neptune, medicine to Esculapius, I don't know how to say that one, Hercules presiding over temporal benefits, promising him a 10th part of their property so that he might increase and take care of it. So you're supposed to be giving a 10th to Hawah of your first fruits and whatnot, grains and whatnot, right? They giving that 10th to these idols. But this people only acts of their powers plenty to eat and drink in good health and victory over their enemies. Many times the devil appears to them in various shapes, promising to their ministers some of the things for which they have been entreated. And when he does not keep his promise and they complain, he answers that he has changed his mind because they have committed some great sin. All right, they talking to the devil now. And thus the father of falsehood excuses himself. When the cacique of La Española wished to celebrate a feast in honor of his principal false deity, he commanded all his vassals, both men and women, to come to him on a certain day. And on arrival at the appointed spot, they ranged themselves in order. The cacique then advanced and entered the temple where the ministers were dressing the idol. There he sat down playing on a drum, and all the other people followed. First the men, painted black, red, and yellow, with plumes of parrots and other feathers, with ornaments of seashells round their neck, their legs, and their arms. The women were not painted at all. The girls were quite naked. The married women had a covering hanging from their waist, as in the Gulf of Paria and other places on the mainland. Thus, they entered the temple, dancing and singing certain of their songs in praise of their idol, while their chief saluted them with his drum. So, all these things they doing to the idol is what they used to do to Hawaii. All right, singing, praising, dancing, giving a tenth. You know what I'm saying? But you see how Satan wants to be the most high, right? Got them doing the same exact thing, except they doing it in blood. Then, by putting a stick down their throat, they vomited, so that the idol might see that they had nothing but bad either in their stomach or their breasts. After performing these foolish ceremonies, they all sat down on their heels, and with a melancholy noise, they sang some more songs. Then some other women entered the temple with baskets adorned with roses and various flowers and filled with bread, and they went round to all those who were singing and repeated a little prayer to them. The singers jumped up on their feet to answer, and when they had finished these songs, they began others to honor and glory of their chief, after which they presented the bread to their idol. The ministers now took and blessed it and shared it with all the people, as if it was a holy thing or good relic. Finally, every man, highly elated and content, returned to his own home. They thought that the sun and the moon came out of a cavern. They had a pumpkin as a relic, saying that it had come out of the sea with all the fish in it. They worshipped two wooden figures as the gods of abundance, and at some periods of the year, many Indians went on a pilgrimage to them. They had also another idol made with 4 feet, like a dog, and they believed that when he was angry, he went away to the mountains, where being found, they used to bring him back on their shoulders to the temple. In this island, as also in other provinces of these new countries, there are some bushes, not very large, like reeds, that produce a leaf in the shape like that of a walnut, though rather larger, which, where it is used, is held in great esteem by the natives and very much prized by the slaves whom the Spaniards had brought from Ethiopia. All right. Now they talking Ethiopia. They talking Ethiopia. The original Ethiopia was here, wasn't it? In the Americas. So were they just getting shipped around different parts, right? I think I'm gonna stop right there. I think we get the point of this idol worship that's going on, right? And why Hawaii had to put the smack down on them. All right. Now, I'm gonna get a conclusion over here. We almost at the end now. All right, we're gonna go to this book. We done touched on this book before. This called what's the name of this one? Oh yeah, okay. This is by Bartolome de las Casas, a short account of the destruction of the Indies. All right, and I just want to get the conclusion real quick because it's gonna touch on what they was really, you know, the point of it all for these Spaniards, right? It's another eyewitness account. All right. I, Bartolome de las Casas, or Cases, a brother in the Dominican order, was by the grace of God, and we know they say God, they talking a false God because they're Christians, right? Persuaded by a number of people here at the Spanish court, out of their concern for the Christian faith and their compassion towards the afflictions and calamities that befall their fellow men, to write the work you have before you in order to help ensure that the teeming millions in the new world, so-called, for whose sins Christ gave his life, hijack, do not continue to die in ignorance. All right, so he's sticking up for the Christians, right? But rather are brought to knowledge of God, their God, and thereby saved. My deep love of Castile has also been a spur, for I do not wish to see my country destroyed as a divine punishment for sins against the honor of God and the true faith. It had always been my intention to pen this account, although it has been long delayed by my being taken up with so many other tasks. I completed it in Valencia on the 8th day of December 1542, at a time when the violence, the oppression, the despotism, the killing, the plunder, the depopulation, the outrages, the agonies, and the calamities we have described were at their height throughout the New World, wherever Christians have set foot. Wherever Christians have set foot. It may be that some areas are worse than others. Mexico City and the surrounding territories are a little better than most, for there, at least, outrages cannot be committed so publicly, as there is justice of a sort. Despite the crippling taxation unjustly imposed on the people, yet I do see hope for the future. For as the Emperor and King of Spain, Charles V, whose person and whose empire may God preserve, their God, learns of the crimes committed against his will and against that of God by his servants in the New World, his servants in the New World, and of their treachery towards the people of the continent. For until now, there has been an effective conspiracy of silence about what has really been happening. He will, as one wedded to the concept of justice and avid to see it prevail, put a stop to the wickedness and undertake a total reform administration of this new world that God has bestowed upon him, and will do so for the greater glory of the Holy Catholic Church and for the salvation of his own royal soul. There you go. All right, that's all I wanted to get. You see it? You see what it is, right? Charles V, Carlos Quinto, ultimate hijack of the Incas, wanted them to be his servants. All right, Holy Roman Emperor. All right, you know Rome's the fourth beast. All right, this was for the greater glory of the Holy Catholic Church, which was the first church. The first Christian church, right? And there you go, man. All right. Carlos Quinto. Now, we're getting close to the end, y'all. All right. Lessons from the ancestors. Now, they got this also. Remember, it said everybody that messed up was doing evil in the sight of Hawah, right? In the sight of Hawah. And just like the sight of Hawah, they have what's called the eye of providence, or the all-seeing eye. which is another mockery of the Most High. All right, this is that eye, often enclosed in a triangle and surrounded by rays of light or halo, intended to represent providence. What's providence? Providence is God's intervention into the universe. Also uses the title of God. Now, when they say God, they're not talking Hawah, but they're mocking Hawah. All right? Because the origin, their so-called origin, all right, the truth behind the scene eye of providence, all right, also known as the all-seeing eye of God, all right, also associated with Freemasons. Okay, what you see, right? One of the most famous in these symbols is the Eye of Horus. Same thing, right? Eye of Horus. We've already gone over who Horus is, right? You know that's another version. That's an older version of JC. He got the same story as JC, just older. All right. This Eye of Horus. All right. Horus presented his eye to his father Osiris. Now here we go. Osiris is the same as Nimrod. So now you see it all goes back to Nimrod. All right. Ruled the underworld. You know, JC got the keys. Got the keys, right? All right. Over there in Revelation. He said he got the keys, right? This is all mockery. All right. See? JC with the this is supposed to represent the Trinity. All right, that's why they use the where it said that. Yeah, Holy Trinity. All right. They said this represents the Holy Trinity. Okay, but does it really? Or is that a mockery? Because you go over here. Where is that? Yeah. Go over here to Proverbs, right? Proverbs chapter 15, verse 3. The eyes of Hawah are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. The eyes of Hawah are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. So how can they have an all-seeing eye? They can't see in heaven, can they? This says every place, right? They can't see in heaven. You think they can get up there with the Most High and see what's going on? Unless the Most High calls them up to have a meeting or something. But yeah, remember they work for Hawah. The adversary works for Hawah. So the wicked people that worship the adversary don't realize what they doing. Let's go to 2 Chronicles, man. 2 Chronicles 16 real quick. Verse 9. For the eyes of Hawah run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong on the behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him. Herein you have done foolishly. Therefore, from henceforth you shall have wars. All right? And we still at war. The flag that they call the American flag is a war flag, man. We're prisoners of war. All right, right now it's an invisible war. It's a silent war against you. You know, they war us with the poisoning of the food, the air, the land, everything. Everything has been contaminated. Only thing can save you is Hawaii at this point. That's it. All right. When people talk reparations and all this and that, what we can do and all this and that, I'll just be like, all right, you can't do nothing until Hawah. Hawah is your savior. All right. That's the only way you're going to get some get back, because Hawah did this to you. Hawah put you in this situation. You are the modern day version of your ancestors. All right, this God that they trust in is not your power. This is all mockery. All right, that's all it is. But at the end, your mother above, right, which they call wisdom, she says she's gonna laugh at them. She's gonna laugh at them. Now, I think we about at the end now. I got anything else I want to touch on? Let's get some scriptures real quick. Let's wrap this up with a quick little scripture. Matter of fact, I got 2 scripts before we get out of here. I got 2 scripts. While that loads up, let's go to Hosea chapter 4. Alright, let's condemn these idols real quick. Hear the word of Hawah, ye children of Israel. For Hawah has a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of Hawah in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and breaking wedlock, they break out. All right, all of this is part of Exodus 20. Those so-called 10 commandments, right? All right, all of that. That's the key to life. And blood touches blood. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwells therein shall languish with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of heaven. Yea, the fish of the sea also shall be taken away. Yet let no man strive nor reprove another. For your people are as they that strive with the priests. Therefore shall you fall in the day, and the prophet also shall fall with you in the night. And I will destroy your mother above. You ain't gonna have no wisdom, no knowledge, understanding. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected the knowledge, I will also reject you. Alright? This happened to your ancestors now. Alright? Don't let it happen to you. That you shall be no priest to me. You were priests, but now you shall be no priest to me. Seeing you have forgotten the Torah of your power, I will also forget your children, as they were increased, so they sinned against me. Therefore will I change their glory into shame. They eat up the sin of my people, and they set their heart on their iniquity. And there shall be like people, like priests, and I will punish them for their ways and reward them for their doings. For they shall eat and not have enough. They shall commit whoredom and shall not increase, because they have left off to take heed to Hawah. Whoredom and wine and new wine take away the heart. My people ask counsel at their trees, and their staff declares unto them. For the reward of the whoredoms has caused them to err, and they have gone a horn from under their power. Hawah. They sacrifice upon the tops of the mountains, and burn incense upon the hills under oaks and poplars and elms. Or you want to be popular? Oh, they used to sacrifice under poplars because the shadow thereof is good. Therefore your daughters shall commit whoredom, and your spouses shall break wedlock. I will not punish your daughters when they commit whoredom, nor your spouses when they break wedlock, for they themselves are separated with whores. Now he talking to the men. He ain't worried about the women because y'all are the whores. And they sacrifice with harlots. Therefore the people that do not understand shall fall. Though you, Israel, play the harlot, yet let not Judah offend, and come not ye unto Gilgal, neither go ye up to Bethaven, nor swear 7 oaths. Hawah lives. Alright, Hawah ain't trying to hear all that. For Israel slides back as a backsliding heifer, and now Hawah will feed them as a lamb in a large place. Ephraim is joined to idols. Let him alone. Their drink is sour. Alright? They have committed whoredom continually. Give her rules to love with shame. The wind has bound her up in her wings, and they shall be ashamed because of their sacrifices. Sacrificing to idols. Alright? Now, that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. We see it. We saw it. We read eyewitness accounts on it happening. This is exactly what happened. But we at the end now. Alright? And the punishment is almost over. So, let's see if we can get this load up. I got one more script. Man, I wanted to get this on here. Let's see. Alright, here we go. Alright. Get a little landscape going while I read this last one. We're gonna go to let's go back to Baruch. Alright. So this is last call for righteousness right now, man. Alright. Anybody that's on that fence, you better come on over here. Right now. You know somebody on that fence, man, send this to them. Alright. Let's get some scriptures while we look at Eden Gardens real quick. Second Baruch, chapter 44. And I, Baruch, went from thence and came to my people. And I called my firstborn son and the Gadalias, my friends, and 7 of the elders of the people. And I said unto them, Behold, I go unto my fathers according to the way of all the earth. But withdraw ye not from the way of the Torah, but guard and admonish the people which remain, lest they withdraw from the commandments of Hawah. For ye see that he whom we serve is just, and our Creator is no respecter of persons. And see ye what has befallen Zion, and what has happened to Jerusalem. For the judgment of Hawah shall thereby be made known, and his ways, which though past finding out, are right. For if ye endure and persevere in his fear, and do not forget his Torah, the time shall change over you for good, and ye shall see the consolation of Zion. Because whatsoever is now is nothing. I heard that? Whatsoever is now is nothing, but that which shall be is very great. For everything that is corruptible shall pass away, and everything that dies shall depart, and all the present time shall be forgotten. All right, so you worried about all this little stuff we got going on in the world? Yeah, it's okay to enjoy life and live it, do the best you can, play your part, whatever your mission is. But just know, all the present time shall be forgotten. Nor shall there be any remembrance of the present time, which is defiled with evils. For that which runs now runs unto vanity. That's it. Everything is vanity. And that which prospers shall quickly fall and be humiliated. For that which is to be shall be the object of desire. And for that which comes afterwards shall we hope. For it is a time that passes not away, and the hour comes which abides forever. And the new world comes which does not turn to corruption. Those who depart to his blessedness has no mercy on those. Let's run it back. On those who depart to torment, and leads not to perdition those who live in it. For these are they who shall inherit that time, the humble, the meek, which has been spoken of, and theirs is the inheritance of the promised time. These are they who have acquired for themselves treasures of wisdom, and with them are found stores of understanding, and from mercy have they not withdrawn, and the truth of the Torah have they preserved. For unto them shall be given the world to come. The world to come, paradise. Can you even imagine paradise? I know I got a little Eden Gardens over here, right here, but this is to give you the best we can do, because we don't know. All right, we've been corrupted by evil so long. Can you even fathom a world with no evil in it, with nothing but righteousness? Can you even imagine that? But the dwelling of the rest, who are many, shall be in the fire. Halal Hawah. All right, Dawada, I appreciate you if you made it this far. We're gonna wrap things up. All right, we got what I got here. This was lessons from the ancestors. I got a little wrap up summary, if I can get it to come up. Lessons from the life of Solomon. All right, a little something that threw together here. All right, lessons from the life of Solomon. Wisdom from the wisest king. All right, here goes some quick reminders. First, ask Hawah for wisdom. Seek wisdom from Hawah first, because wisdom brings honor, and true wisdom earns respect. Know that Hawah blesses obedience, and blessings follow obedience. So then you need to build for Hawah like Solomon, right? But for good, not evil. Use your gifts to honor Hawah. Guard your heart. Guard against wrong influences. All right? Stay grounded in the Torah, man. That's going to be your shield. Bad influences can lead us away. So choose your relationships wisely. Be careful who you're around. Because they got the same one twice on here. All right. Wealth cannot satisfy the soul. Only Hawah gives true meaning. All right. Hawah gives you joy, inner peace. All right. But fear of Hawah, reverence fear, revere, that's what brings wisdom. And everything has its time. Trust Hawah's timing. Remember your creator. Serve Hawah in your youth. Alright, Hawah, the true name of the creator. Hawah is the eternal one, the self-existent I am. From Exodus 3:14. His name vibrates with breath and spirit. Ha, breath. Wow, life, existence. Alright, the secure breath. To call upon the name of Hawah is to align with the source of all life, the creator of heaven and earth, who remembers his covenant forever. Forever. Alright. Thank you, Abraham. Because without that covenant, where would we be? Alright, but Hawah always had a plan. Alright. Now, much ahab to you. You still made it this far, man. I love you. And we're going to wrap this thing up because the ox been showing me so much love. I want to show some ahab back. Alright. And we're going to get it. We're going to let 9 Spiral and Natural by Law take us out. Alright. If I can get this to come up. Alright. Don't want to back up. I don't want to back up. Okay. Well, let's just do it like this then. Here we go. I appreciate y'all, man. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Alright, come on. 9 Spiral, Natural by Law. Go check them out. Check out their hot music they got. This song right here is called Ahab. This is one of my favorites. I love this song, man. Alright, we're going to rock out to this on the way out. Halal Hawah.
Tribal mafia, underrated, misunderstood, and certified Jacob. Nothing to play with, akin to nature. Peace be upon them. Frequent, abundant, when keeping cold and watching behavior. Speak to the heavens and they respond with rolls of thunder. Welcome to the jungle, remaining humble, keeping it moving. Become a problem for adversaries who dare to bother. Harboring hatred, complacent with the tactics you using. Mixed with confusion, identifying you as the author. Yet though we walk through the valley, death afraid to come closer. Potent composure, immovable, approaching it's over. Become unheardable, Israelite regaining its power. Might see us shining like diamonds and forever immortal.
Everlasting, with a passion, we make it happen. Your reaction is satisfaction, I guess the crafting. They can't imagine just how we did it and got it cracking. But it was written, not to mention this isn't rapping. This is just a spazzing of a dragon from the fashion of a mom and a bar. I'm the fusion and the balance. See, Great Spirit gave us talents, now I use them like some talents. Lifted up my tribal faction, break you actors into fractions. Ain't no hiding, ain't no passing, I'm done trying. We're expanding on our kingdom and beyond. For the freedoms, what I'm breathing, steady seeking natural power every season. I'ma shower this a high, cause you give it to the realest. Yeah, I feel it, how I die. This is for our mind, this is for our body. Yeah, Tribal Mafia, this is for y'all, man. This flow saved my life, and now we alive. Twin season, Anion, Halal Hawah.
Halal Hawah. Catch y'all on the next one, man. Aha.